With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Ever witnessed someone so fast on track you doubt you could ever be on their level? The mission of Advanced Motorsports is to demonstrate the speed is achievable for everyone. With the expertise of some of the best sim drivers in North America, we are set to release free content on social media and comprehensive guides on our website. For those seeking the ultimate experience, our Advanced Motorsport Institute and personalized coaching sessions are the way to go. No matter your level of experience, we invite you to follow us on our social media to learn to be fast.
Championship Sunday for the Precision Racing League Cup Series, coming at you live from Chicagoland Speedway. What a venue to bring us this final race of 2023 Cup Series competition in the PRL. Glad that you're joining us this evening live on RaceSpotTV. I'm Dylan Coyle, joined alongside Derek Watson, and good evening. This is going to be a wonderful race, one that I think we're going to see either a new champion be crowned or former champions grow to levels I don't think they even would have expected once they joined. Derek, going to be fun. This has been a fun season. The schedule has taken us to many places, some that we've seen previously, some that were new, and some that, like Chicagoland, we don't race in the real world anymore. But it's going to be a barn burner tonight.
No, the schedule has been great, Dylan. Let's take a look at it and pull up the schedule here and see it here. So we're going to start all the way back September 17th, so long ago at Bristol Motor Speedway. We've been to Texas, Talladega, the Roval, Vegas, Homestead, Miami, Martinsville, Phoenix, Kansas, and now we're here at Championship Night, Chicagoland Speedway, November 19th. It's been amazing, and we're here for Championship Night, Dylan, because we have some points to look at. First, let's look at the year-long points. This is the season 4 points. I apologize. We're right now, Abner Acosta has an 18-point lead over Trent Dinkel. And then it goes down from there. Lou Christian, Chris Hudson, James O'Brien, Joshua Daniels, Jose Acosta, Pat Harvey, all involved in probably P3 through P8. And then Robert Bisal, 9th, and then Paul Bergoli is 10th, Dylan.
Yeah, so this is a pretty interesting driver standing. Let's take a look at the less, I guess you could say, interesting team standings. Private label team Hype up 97 points heading into this final race. I think that that's not going to change. As a matter of fact, I'd be shocked if it doesn't grow. But SGE Esports Pioneer and SGE Esports Ironman, those two are 2nd and 3rd. They're pretty comfortably in the podium positions. Pretty much the best battle we see in the team standings is 1 point separating 4th place D Block from 5th place Prestige Worldwide. But it's not only about the season 4 10 race points, it's also about the year-long playoff system in the Precision Racing League. And we've gone to everything through the points, but the championship 4 is there. Trent Dinkel, Abner Acosta, James O'Brien, and Joshua Daniels, your championship 4 competitors. Whoever finishes the best out of those 4 tonight will become the 2023 champion in this playoff format. You take a look. This is over the entirety of the year, which up to this point has been 39 races. Trent Dinkel leads the way with 12 wins, has 17 poles, 27 top 5s. The only time he's been in the top 10 and it hasn't been a top 5 has been 3 races, 30 top 10s. Abner Acosta right alongside him with those stats. And then you have a little bit of a drop-off. James O'Brien, a ton of top 10s, not as many top 5s, but still a couple wins. Joshua Daniels has not won a single race all year long, but he still was consistent enough and raced enough times to get himself into the conversation for 2023 PRL Cup Series champion, Derek.
Yeah, it's been a great run, and there's lots of stories to talk about tonight as we go on. And we'll talk about the qualifying stories, and of course, Abner Acosta can't qualify. But first, I want to take a moment and thank our sponsors.
Yes, and of course, with that comes our partners. Advanced Sim Racing is owned and operated by passionate sim racers. Designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products using the Precision 5 coupon code. Racebox Sim Racing. Racebox offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, our button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit raceboxsimracing.com and get a 5% discount using the Precision 5 coupon code. The Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker products add incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Muradness is a performance lifestyle brand motivated by motorsport and founded by professional race car driver Daniel Morad. For more information, visit muradness.com. Mr. Hedge iRacing Photography lets you capture your finest, proudest, or simply worst moments from your hobby in up to 8K resolution. A great addition to any sim room. And finally, Advanced Motorsports. Get ready to learn to be fast with Advanced Motorsports. Follow them on their socials to become a better driver. That is our list of partners this season in PRL Cup competition, as well as for RaceSpotTV's coverage of it. Chicagoland is the site, is where we are. Qualifying is underway here and there's almost 22, 23 seconds remaining in it. Chris Hudson currently leads the way, but look at who is currently second by 6 thousandths. Joshua Daniels, Derek.
Yeah, Daniel's doing a great job tonight in one of our 4 of the championship 4. You see Trent Dink was down there in 5th. James O'Brien is down in 11th, and of course, due to bringing out the yellow flag towards the middle of last week's race, Abner Acosta not allowed to qualify. So let's go through the grid in a second, and then we'll see where everyone lined up here at Chicagoland.
Well, about to see that starting lineup. Hudson 29, 9, 6, 3. Daniels alongside him. That's your front row. What a way for Daniels to start tonight his championship hopes. Lou Christian in 3rd, and Chad Kibbe, who oftentimes has an extremely fast lap, but does fall off in the long run. He's going to start 4th. Let's see if that changes this time for the D-Block driver. Trent Dinkle in 5th. Not unlike where he usually would start in the top 5. Robert Beasall Jr. starting 6th on the outside of row 3. We move it down just a tad more. In 7th, Pat Harvey alongside Chris Vincent. Rodrigo Loga and Mike Witt round out your top 10. James O'Brien, the private label team hype driver, actually the highest because Abner did not, highest of the, well, I guess you could say the middle of the 3 in this championship contention. He's starting 11th. Maverick Davis in 12th. And since there's only a couple more to go, Tommy Brandon, Jose Medina, Tristan Callahan, Tom Macy, and of course the ones who did not qualify for reasons that have to do with penalties or just not sitting a time, Abner Acosta and Jose Acosta. How about that? The 2 brothers with Richard Pruitt starting in the back. 17th and 18th though. The Acosta brothers, will they work together? We'll have to see. That's your starting grid for your final race of the PRL Cup Series season in Season 4 and in 2023 as a whole. Chicagoland, an interesting track where the straightest portions of the circuit is the small chute between turn 4 and then that tri-oval, and then that tri-oval in turn 1. It curves all the way along the backstretch, Derek.
Yeah, a very interesting and unique track, Dylan. Of course, first raced back in 2001, last raced in real life in 2019. Now in Chicago, we have a street course, at least for now, instead of using the ovals. So, all in all, one of the possibly shortest lived, at least for now, NASCAR ovals in real life. But we're going to finish it off here and see how this race turns out here as we're now setting the pace car into turn number 1.
Yeah, Chicagoland always provided great racing, but kind of went the wayside with the Chicago street course. I hope that there is room in the future in the real world for both. I mean, one of those other mile and a halves that only kind of stuck around for a little bit on the Cup Series schedule was Kentucky. Another track I feel like would be really, really interesting in this era of the next-gen Cup car, Generation 7, if you will. But as they come down this very curved backstretch, I mean, you're pretty much turning left the entirety of a lap. We're about to see these drivers do battle for the final time in this Cup Series season. Chris Hudson going to lead the way with Joshua Daniels, the highest qualifying driver in the championship 4. Abner Acosta in 17th. Trent Dinkle with an outside chance of winning Season 4, but an equal chance of winning overall in the playoffs. Green flag is out at Chicagoland. We're underway for the final time in PRL 2023 Cup. One lap complete. Joshua Daniels in the lead. That would be something if he walked it off with his first win of 2023 as the champion of the overall year.
Yeah, what a great first lap by Daniels. Got himself around Chris Hudson. Now leading this pack around this 1.5-mile raceway here. And now he'll hopefully stay in line, not burn off tires. And the one concern everyone's had that I've talked to tonight, Dylan, has been how will my car perform in dirty air? Well, if you're James O'Brien and you're leading, that's not a concern.
Very true. If you are in the lead, then it's just about managing that gap between you and second. You see in the top left corner, 1 hour, 28 minutes, 30-some seconds. It's actually on pace to just be a lap-based kind of race. 150 laps is what we're scheduled for. Of course, if there are cautions, that will cut down the amount of laps that we do run in this race. Ooh, that's a dangerous way to be riding on the bottom there through that apron dogleg area for Rodrigo Loga. You usually don't want to have, I don't say usually, likely, your left sides on the apron, your right sides up on the banking on the track. That's just, that's an uncomfortable situation you could find yourself in very quickly.
Yeah, you definitely can. We'll talk about the dynamics of the track as the night goes on, but I agree with you there in that moment. Now, as Joshua Daniels is leading this pack around here, it's important to note, Dylan, he is the 2020 PRL Cup Series champion. He won the final race that year to win the title, so I guess this would be, the second time in a number of years if he can pull it off.
That would be absolutely incredible for him. If we kind of talk about the list of PRL Cup Series Cup champions, I said cup choice there, Bradley Holly and James O'Brien, of course, lead the way. James, who we always talk about with almost being that third private label team hype driver most of the time, and of course the stats do say that this season, but when we talk about James and his historical performance in the PRL Cup Series, he's the highest ranked in terms of championships of all three drivers in that championship for Staple for private label team hype. Of course, Holly, another legendary driver, competing for other championships across the PRL. But Trent Dinkel's got 3 for himself, Abner Acosta's got 2 for himself, and Joshua Daniels has 1. So it all kind of evens out where these drivers, we've seen them be champions before, we just haven't necessarily seen them win all of them multiple times. That's Jose Acosta, who joined late. He's not currently in first place. Jose Acosta is 2 laps down because he had some connection issues.
Yep, so he actually posted in our YouTube chat saying he was having problems. I was hoping to get back in. He's 2 laps, almost 3 laps down. If that camera moves around in a second, you'll see just how close the field is to him. He, right now, there it is. He is fighting to stay just ahead of Joshua Daniels and not go a 3rd lap down. So if anyone's hoping for a caution right now, it's Jose Acosta.
Yeah, absolutely. That is where they want to kind of work it. Acosta needs that caution. He get a free pass to get back 1 lap down. That's a big move from Davis. Always aggressive. Takes it 3 wide in the inside. Oh, that's way too aggressive. He slid way up into Pat Harvey. We're hearing there was no contact right there, but that was definitely too aggressive for anybody's standards. Going back to Jose Acosta, as long as you're the first car that's any amount of laps down, you're fine to get a free pass if you are not the cause of the caution. So currently 2 laps down. He'd go 1 lap down if no one else goes 1 lap down by the time the next caution, if a caution does fly.
Yeah, that big if right now is definitely the concern for him. Only 19 cars on track for the finale, so one would think that means a little less likelihood of calamity. But man, lots of awesome racing happening here in this pack. You saw Pat Harvey and Maverick Davis 3 wide a moment ago. Still some great 2 wide racing. And Dylan, there's a little bit of multi-groove racing going on here. No one is really, all single file. They're all looking for their own way around.
Yeah, we shouldn't be surprised though, right? It is wonderful watching Chicagoland in these 1.5 miles with the next-gen Cup cars, because typically there is some amazing racing that we see with next-gen cars on mile and a halves. And I think that's also part of the reason we're going back, even though it's a 2.5 miler, to the Indy Oval next year in the real-world NASCAR Cup Series, because it does produce some good racing on tracks, they do have multiple grooves. Indy does not have multiple grooves, but I think it's going to be an experiment that all of us are excited to see, as you see the entire group of cars racing in a pack right now, the top 10 all within 1 second of each other, and everyone else pretty much under a blanket as far as that's concerned.
By the way, worth noting, look at that car now in second place. That's Trent Dinkle. As is, I think, my common, Trent Dinkle interview. I said, hey, Trent, how you feeling for the race tonight? What's the goal? You know what he told me? I'm just going to chill. That's what he says every week. Well, now he's chilling up at P1.
Yep. Trent Dinkle, unusually aggressive early, as I will add. We typically see him lose a few positions as the race opens up, and then just drops back, or pushes forward, I should say, goodness me, as this race and that run goes on, because he's saving, right? He wants to have that long run speed, and he'll, accept a little bit of getting past in the beginning, as long as he can be a bit of a pest and force drivers to kind of go back, as Davis is just loose through the corner. You saw that bobble in your feed. Unbelievable racing early on in Chicagoland. Dinkle, Daniels, those two fighting for the championship, and you see all the positions just swapping on the timetable.
Yeah, lots of things swapping around. Holding caution. We have a caution. Yellow is out. We'll find it in a moment.
Yellow is certainly out. And we're trying to understand where the caution was and who it was for. Acosta will get his lap back as long as he wasn't the reason for the caution. Abner Acosta is in 18th.
Yeah.
Is Abner Acosta out of this race? Look at the timing.
He is hurt. Back. That car is definitely hurt. If we can get a camera on that car is going down pit road and is definitely hurt. Now, whether he's the cause of the caution or whether he was caught up in it, I don't know. Let's find out.
Still trying to figure it out. And like Abner Acosta, that's race over. That's championship over. And that is season 4 opening up for Trent Dinkle. Holy cow. Abner Acosta, one of the championship 4 competitors, is done.
Let me back you up. I don't think he's done. He's currently getting repairs. We'll see how
he's done.
Bad it is. Well,
he's done. He can maybe pick up spots from everybody else, but look at how mangled that car is. He'll try to fix it as best he can get it fixed, but you can just hear it. That is championship hopes over right there.
It's definitely season 4 hopes over. I 100% agree with that. In a format where it's the best of 4 finishers, if he can get the car on the track, let's say on the lead lap, who knows what happens, 100 some laps from now. But I mean, yeah, it definitely seems hurt. I'm not disagreeing with that. So we'll see what he can repair, and he'll be someone who the number of cautions will benefit him as the night goes on, if he's able to get that car moving again.
Well, with the small field, I don't even know if we'd expect to see that many cautions happen. But wow, what a wild turn of events that has kind of flipped the entire script on what we could expect from this season finale. Again, it is the fact that Dinkle is leading and Abner Acosta in the pits for now a minute and a half is currently last. This could be a altering moment in season 4. It was not
absolutely
supposed to happen. Yeah, this was not in the cards. We thought that season 4 would even have a shot of not going to Abner Acosta. If you look just at the driver's standings, the gap is fairly big. It's a 19-point gap, but you get a point for leading a lap. You get a 5-point bonus for winning a race. All of a sudden, you go to 48 points. I'm doing the math in my head. Acosta 29 points. This potentially could be. It could be Dinkel wins this race. He's season 4 champion, and of course the playoff champion. That's what it could come down to.
Oh, absolutely. I agree that for season 4 title, this is probably now Trent Dinkel's race and title to lose as far as that's concerned. Because you're right, the 19-point gap seems now closed, with Abner now already 1 lap down and maybe more as time goes on here. So we'll have to wait and see. I 100% agree with that. By the way, under this yellow, we have a new leader, Tristan Callahan, now Robert Besaw Jr., Richard Pruitt all up front, in front of Joshua Daniels and Trent Dinkel. So 3 cars there who are going to try to get to the front and make things happen.
Well, actually, we're talking about this way. There's 19 cars in this race. If Abner Acosta finishes in 19th, dead last, he'd gain 24 points. If Trent gets 44 points, if he gets 43 points from this race, and Abner finishes last, they'd end up tied, and it would go and count back to the amount of wins that they've got. Now, for Trent to get 43 points, he needs to, at least finish. The only way they end up tied right now, remember the bonus points. You get 42 for winning the race. You get 41 for finishing second. Then you get the extra bonus points for winning the race. If he wins and Abner finishes last, no matter what, Trent Dinkel is champion of both.
Well, he'll also get the bonus
and
point.
season 4.
He'll also get the bonus point for leading a lap, which he's already done.
Yes, absolutely.
And potentially the points for leading the most laps. That'll be the kicker he needs to really settle here. But look at the track temp at 94 degrees Fahrenheit. We are racing in April of 2024 in Sim. It is hot here. I suspect probably a lack of practice mixed with that hot track temp, Dylan, is what has caused Abner to have that incident. But here we are about to go green again.
About to go green out of turn 4 on lap 20. As we come to the stripe, big jump from Tristan Callahan. He almost just absolutely put himself way out of front. I'm not even sure if he jumped it or everyone else struggling behind, because that is a massive gap already to Robert Besaw Jr. back in second. Joshua Daniels slots in third, goes to the inside of Besaw Jr. Heading into turn 3, has a bunch of steam. They've closed up to Callahan mighty fast.
Yeah, no word yet from race control that the restart is under review, but I agree, that was a massive jump, and I thought the same thing you did at first here. But now they're side by side here is Callahan and Besaw, and there we go. Now we got Daniels coming up here to make a battle of this with just about 1 lap through.
Well, as we see all those old tires that Callahan is dealing with, the 20-lap old tires right now. Oh, he's struggling big time. Oh, boy, he slided up in a Loga. Look who's on the outside. Daniels is involved. Oh, no, this is another Championship 4 competitor. Caution out. Goodness me.
Wow. It is exactly as you called it, the wiggles and the tires and the tire wear, and Daniels caught up. It almost seems like the Championship 4 are snake bit right now, Dylan. That's 2 in 22 laps.
Oh, man. That is, we know that these drivers in the Championship 4 don't usually, end up involved in incidents. This is completely an innocent bystander right here. And that is a lot of netcode. There's no left front to right rear contact. And look at that weird jump off. So again, unfortunate circumstances. But at the same time, Callahan, you could tell, was already uncomfortable at the moment. And on those old tires, he was trying to overdrive the thing, and it went into the corner, and that's what happens. Rodrigo Loga with the meatball, and Abner Acosta out of the car right now, but still getting repairs. Just trying to get that car kind of fixed up.
Now,
Oh, goodness.
the quote-unquote good news, quote-unquote, as we're going to watch this again here, and watch this. This is Callahan on the inside. Just going to come up here, and they're going to close the gap here. We'll watch it again. This is a bit of a slow-mo replay, I believe, so let's see here. They're going to come up and just going to make that car work. Probably got, maybe, who knows, Arrow, who knows, but we'll see. Now, as there it is, right behind him, right there, that's Joshua Daniels, and you see the cars going around here. This could have been a way worse wreck than what it was, Dylan, with how they were turned around there on the track. Now, Joshua Daniels has Garrett Maines up on the pit box tonight. It's a name we're all familiar with through eNASCAR. The quote-unquote good news, Daniels is still running. There's no required repairs. So I'm not saying his car is perfect, but it's still running. We'll see how that car runs the rest of the night. I mean, listen, at this moment right now, if he's running on the lead lap, who knows?
Well, if you told me we'd be not even a sixth of the way into this race and we'd have two of our championship competitors already battling huge incidents. I mean, if you look at Joshua Daniels' front end, it's so caved in.
Oh, it's mangled.
It's absolutely mangled. So I wonder how much, I mean, air intake, temperatures are going to be getting hot, in that engine. It could blow at one point. So, I mean, that's just an unfortunate circumstance to find himself in. But also, I think this is all about self-preservation, right? You see that drivers are struggling in front. Maybe it's not the best idea to put yourself on the outside 3 wide,
Yeah, and what I think is part of what's happening in this race, something to talk about, typically the PRL follows the official iRacing calendar. Now, the PRL admins had decided they did not want championship night to be at the iRacing Super Speedway. So they have moved Chicagoland up 1 week. The reason I bring that up here is a lot of these drivers use the official iRacing races throughout the week as their practices for this league. And a lot of them told me tonight, listen, we've had time to practice on our own. We've had hot laps and runs, but a lot of these drivers were not sure how these cars would behave around other people in other cars. And I think we're seeing a lot of that so far. In fact, that was Joshua Daniels' comment to me before the race started. He's like, listen, I've not had a time to race with other people yet. I don't know what to expect out of this track.
Well, the unexpected is quite fun. I know we were talking about Abner potentially having some issues just getting that car dialed in to this track, to this race. Abner now back in his car. I wonder if he's about to pull back out onto the track. So Abner is now pacing, I think, in pit road, and he'll be back out on the track. So I guess what you said, Derek, you never know, but there is still the problem of Trent Dinkle and James O'Brien, and if Abner is able to pick up spots, that's another point in the Season 4 championship that Trent is going to have to even stretch himself more for. So we're going green on lap 26. 6 of this race is in. We still got a lot more racing to go. And Robert Beasall Jr. brings us back into turn 1 under green flag conditions. Harvey and Dinkle side by side. Christian and Hudson in behind them.
Oh, Pat Harvey way up the track here, almost inside of Trent Dinkle, and got it gathered up here. It's pretty obvious to me that there is some grip and handling problems in this track tonight, Dylan, as we're seeing lots of cars slide up here. Probably means we're fighting a lot. I would say that's almost like a tight race car that's not responding, which is abnormal given the heat in the track.
Very true, as we continue with this unbelievable turn of events that this race has had. And, with how it is a 94-degree day on the track itself, it's slick. It's not unbearably hot, but it's definitely going to be a little bit slick. Depending on that cloud coverage, there are a few amount of clouds in here. That might help keep the temperatures from rising, if not at least bring it down a bit, which would help with, tire wear, and it might help with grip, well, not really. If it gets hotter, it's not going to help with grip, but I don't know. What kind of race do you want to see? Because so far, we haven't seen much of anything because the competitors have been taken out or taken themselves out.
Yeah, we've not seen much of the race yet to see what's going to happen here. I mean, the one thing I did get from practice and from talking with drivers who were in the race tonight is that tire degradation does not appear to be a common thing here in practice. A lot of drivers said that the times don't fall off as fast as you might expect. So they're willing to push these tires. And Pat Harvey now, by the way, is leading the race and to set the fastest lap.
Well, if Harvey sets the fastest lap, I mean, that takes away a potential point for Trent Dinkle. To give you a bit of an understanding of, you know, that playoff picture right now, or that Season 4 points championship as we run with Trent Dinkle currently in 3rd place and having a lap led, it appears that he would be down by 2 points to Abner Acosta for that Season 4 championship. I'll try and keep you updated as the night goes on. Oh, Chad Kibbe into James O'Brien. Is that James O'Brien? Tommy Brandon, that is. Goodness, I thought I saw red and black. It wasn't James O'Brien. It was Tommy Brandon, who gets himself back onto the track. No major contact except for a little bit of a slap on the side. He goes through the infield grass and back on the turn 1. No caution.
Wow, it's turned out to be a wild night. You can really see the effects of little practice coming in lap by lap here as this track is providing lots of challenges. Listen, this is not only a track we didn't get to practice tonight, but I can't think of the last time that really we've raced here in the Cup cars on iRacing in any kind of official capacity. Here's that record contact you talked about a second ago. Watch this car on the inside. That's the 11 of Tommy Brandon.
88 hard into the wall, and then
I got this contact with Kip.
Oh, just kind of a lazy moment, I feel like, from Brandon and Chad Kibbe right there.
Yeah, just maybe a lack of awareness, a spatial awareness, I don't know. It's just kind of a crazy night here. But you know what? Championship races tend to be crazy, don't they? And it's just like every wild thing happens and it means so much more. And wow, it's crazy right now. Pat Harvey leading the race here. Robert Besaw Jr. and Trent Dinkle are your top 3. By the way, real quick, if we can get this in now in case it gets crazier later. One person not racing tonight, by the way, Dylan, is Paul Brogoli. I want to give a shout out to him and his wife. He's not here. They got married over the weekend down in Florida. I think we have a picture of the happy couple to put up on screen. There they go. So Paul chose getting married over racing with us, which I understand. Congrats to them. And we'll see Paul back in 2024.
You know, I was really hoping that we wouldn't see a wreck while their wedding picture was on screen, because that would have been quite ominous.
Very ominous, yes.
But congratulations to Paul and his wife. That is absolutely awesome. There's been a lot of special moments that drivers have had to miss races for. You know, somehow, some way, things are sometimes more important than sim racing or getting into an iRacing league. And you know, there are very few things, but there are some things.
Well, remember that when you're racing, or Pat Harvey, when he parked the car about 3 weeks ago, at the end of a race, him and his wife went off to the hospital and they had baby Duncan. So this would be Pat's first lap sled after having a baby. Wonder if Duncan's watching.
Certainly hope so.
You think he's got Duncan on the wheel yet?
Aren't there some for, you know, a specific? Well, I guess we can say the Nintendo Switch out loud, right? Because iRacing does have some games on that system, but you know, isn't there a very cheap wheel for a kart racer?
I mean, you can get like little Fisher Price wheels to put inside the crib, but that's to be connected.
Yeah, but you want it connected, and you want a pathway to the sim world, right? That's a pathway to the sim world. I guess the good old Fisher Price, you know, toy wheels are definitely the first step, though.
And listen, I've seen how you race. I wonder if you're still using a Fisher Price wheel sometimes, to be honest with you.
Oh! Called for. but fair. Robert Peasall Jr. Felt some sympathy for me right there and got into the wall. Man, that's brutal. That's a really good one there. Put that in the race spot quotes chat. Peasall Jr. went from 4th to 6th on that one. Dinkel has now moved into 2nd. He'd still be 1 point back of Abner Acosta, who is 21 laps down at this point.
Yeah, and they're about to lap Abner here in a moment, I do believe, so that'll put him 22 laps down if that comes to be. But Abner right now out here, as we said, running, hoping for more calamity. He can make up some spots and keep that Season 4 title. And there he is, right behind Trent Dinkel and others. There's Maverick Davis on the inside.
Look at that big slide underneath Abner Acosta. We'll see if he's even close to being up to speed. I mean, 21 laps down to fix that kind of damage. And the real world, I'd say that is a miraculous effort. In the sim world, not much that he had to do, as a potential slide up in front of Vincent wouldn't have been smart for Hudson to do, so he backed out of it. A little bit of hesitation, though, I'd say, from Hudson there.
You know, I'm beginning to wonder if we're dealing with a loose to tight situation here, like, or just loose cars that drivers don't want to turn in fear of it snapping loose, so they're not willing to turn this car, and that's why we're driving them so far up the hill here. Because, hold on. Oh man, Chris Hudson, it makes more sense to me that the drivers are scared to touch these wheels, Dylan, and are letting them kind of drive themselves. And I don't know how you have tight race cars with this kind of track temp.
It is quite interesting that, you know, you do have those tight cars, but, you know, remember, it isn't scorching hot, right? It's still mid to lower 90-degree Fahrenheit track temps, which is still hot as you see Vincent up into the wall. But still, it's not scorching hot. If we're talking in the 100s, the triple digits, sure, then I'd say, yeah, I could see a lot more, you know, manhandling of the wheel happening, but I just don't see that being the case with the temperatures. But it is a really good point, because I feel like we're close, but not there to being on the cusp of, you know, that looseness being the only thing we see of car conditions. Of course, you know, depending on how they set up their cars and everything, tight, loose in, loose off, everything like that. It kind of changes based on how you drive, and one thing compromises another, and that is why we broadcast and commentate and not work on these cars in real life.
Yep, so here's Jose Acosta, by the way.
Why is he number one?
I don't know why he's number one. Where is he in this standing? I'm trying to find him. He is back in the lead lap. We should point that out, by the way. He is currently P8. Yeah, so he got both his laps back through those early cautions. So that software problem obviously annoying for him, but he's made it back and is back in this race.
Yeah, quite awesome, quite honestly, for Jose Acosta, who was 2 laps down, and those tires are fresh as can be. They are the freshest in the field, so, you know, quick cautions. One of them hurt his brother, and one of them hurt another championship competitor on his brother's, well, not on his brother's team, but a brother's team rival. But hey, doesn't matter. He's back in the lead lap. You got to fend for yourself here, and he's certainly doing that. He's just behind James O'Brien on private label Team Hype, running for a championship right now. Joshua Daniels is 14, almost 15 seconds behind the leaders. I think you can say that he is well off the pace as well. So that could potentially be just, you know, fingers crossed, Trent and James run into issues for him, because looks like it's a battle between Trent and James O'Brien for the playoff champion.
Yep, we're riding on board here with Chris Hudson. Talked to Chris earlier, said, of course, he was disappointed that neither he nor his teammates made the Final Four. But he thinks they have a decent setup for tonight. Now, the note he gave me, which I think we've proven to be true, was after 20 to 25 laps, he says that car right there becomes a handful to drive. And I think we've proven that to be true so far. But he's got nothing to lose, going all out for the win tonight, since, you know, they're here just for the win. They can't win the overall year-long title.
Well, if you're here just for the win, then I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. You just go for it sometimes, you know? It's more fun to just go for the win, not have to worry about a point situation. If you're Trent Dinkle, you always are going for the win, but you certainly need to go for the win now. I feel like this race is in his wheelhouse, you know? He's an aggressive driver, and there's no reason not to be aggressive right now. He's only got one other championship competitor who has the speed to compete right now. It's his teammate, and he could potentially win the Season 4 title with a win. So, lots on the line.
Yeah, I mean, this is really like vintage Trent Dinkle, though, right? Very calm, kind of works his way to the front. You know, he'll take the lead eventually. If he gets there, he doesn't feel that need to get up there and do it instantly, right? But see a great passer. That's Chris Vincent on his side. Chris, by the way, has had a couple of great weeks, by the way. A couple of top 10s back to back and doing pretty well. Just got passed there, though, by the 3 car. But Chris is looking forward to 2024 and seeing what he can put together.
So, some updates on that Season 4 championship, kind of going off of Chris Vincent. Is Abner Acosta is now on 18th. Rodrigo Loga has been passed by Acosta as Bisol Jr. gets into the wall right in front of another championship competitor. Oh, settle it down, boys. But now we're in the situation that for there to be a tie, Trent needs 44 points. And, you know, a win pretty much guarantees, I think, just a marginal Trent Dink Season 4 victory. But a second place, a third place, it's going to take a lot.
Oh, look at Bisol climbed up there. You saw it start happening right there in the corner. Not to cut you off, you are correct about the points and what's going to take here for something to happen. But man, look at Bisol just almost instantly starts climbing the hill. Right there again, you can see it. Oh, look at that wiggle. We
Yikes.
are definitely, wow. It's like his car can't decide if it's loose or tight. And that's the worst. And so, you know, this league is open setups. These drivers get to build a setup for it. And that's the worst part, right, Dylan? When a car can't decide if it's loose or tight, you have no idea what the heck to do with it on your pit stop, because which of those two things do you fix?
I mean, whatever is the bigger problem, I guess. If you feel like, you know, being loose in and tight out, if you feel like being tight out is a little bit more of a problem than loose in, you try and, you know, fix that problem independently as much as you can before, you know, you start negatively affecting in a great way the loose in problem. So, you know, it's there's so many different routes you can take to get a fix into the car, but there's only a couple that don't end up hurting the other parts of your race car. And that's the struggle that all these drivers and their crews need to figure out as Hudson and O'Brien go side by side. James O'Brien still in this championship 4 conversation, has had a quiet race, and he's making his way into P4. And some confirmation here as there is a 19-point difference between Abner Acosta and Trent Dinkle in the Season 4 championship. Tiebreaker is wins in that season. Dinkle comes into this race with only 2 wins, and Abner Acosta has 4. So no matter what, if Acosta and Dinkle tie, the tiebreaker will go to Abner Acosta, which also means Dinkle needs to clear Acosta by 20 points in this race.
Yep, Dinkle needs to get up to the lead and do it fast. But right now, his mind might just be set on that year-long title. The Season 4 title may just be an afterthought, if you will, to these drivers. And of course, we're watching this battle here with Jose Acosta. That's Chris Hudson and Chris Vincent. But right there ahead of them is James O'Brien, moving his way to the front. You know what's interesting about James O'Brien is that he told me he thinks he's the underdog of the 4 drivers. And so therefore, he doesn't feel any pressure. He says if it comes down to it, he will gamble on a strategy to try to win that title.
Well, right now he's in a pretty solid spot, running in 4th. We're on board with Trent Dinkle, who is in the best spot of them all, running in 2nd. Of course, you know, going back to your last point about what title drivers would prefer if they're in the running for both in terms of Acosta. Well, I wouldn't say he's in the running for at least one of them right now, and Trent Dinkel. I would say whatever one they win is the most important one, or whatever one they can still win is the most important one. That's just the mindset of a driver or a player, an athlete of any sort. And as Chad Kibbe makes a move down the inside of Richard Pruitt, Kibbe qualified 4th, has fallen back to 11th. It's kind of been the story of his season. Fast qualifying laps, good efforts on single lap speed, but just burns the tires off so quickly and doesn't have that, that race pace in him to keep it going.
Yeah, at times that has been a problem with that very cool paint scheme, by the way, that sort of prototype, kind of keeping it hidden paint scheme, whatever you want to call it. But right now, here's a pass. James O'Brien now taking over P3, just past Maverick Davis, and now 1 spot away from being the lead of the top 4.
1 spot away indeed, and actually that 1 spot is the current lead of the top 4 and a half second away from being the leader of this race. He has chased down, Trent Dinkel has, Pat Harvey by multiple seconds, and he is just churning away at these lap times, sawing on the wheel to get it done. I mean, you see the gaps up top on your leaderboard. It's under half a second now, and he's trying to get all that fresh air into the engine to just keep it cool, but there's no worry about where the fight is in that 9 machine. He wants to get this lead. He wants to win this race. He wants to go out in style in 2023. Pat Harvey wants to prevent him from doing that, but I have a feeling that there is nothing that Pat Harvey can do once Trent Dinkel gets to within a 10th.
So now this will be the next test for Trent Dinkel right here, though, because now, for the first time in a while, he's going to have some dirty air to deal with in the back of Pat Harvey's car. So we'll see how Dinkel deals with that. Now, earlier, last week at the end of the races, Dinkel told us he'd already been practicing with Michael Conti to get ready for this championship race. So I'm sure that set is dialed in. But for the first time in a while, look at there. See Dinkel now moving high to avoid that dirty air and see if he can make something happen.
Based off of where they're running and all the available bonus points still on the table for Trent Dinkel, 44 points is the max he can get right now without winning the race. That's second most laps led and a lap led as well as the fastest lap. That would get him 44 points. Acosta, second to last right now. He would have 25 points. They'd be tied if that was the case. Abner would win. The only way right now that Dinkel can control his own destiny in the Championship 4 and the Season 4 is to win the race. He has just made the pass on Pat Harvey to get into the lead of this race. Again, new story, same day, or I should say same day, new day, same story. I can't even word my analogies correctly, but Dinkel's the leader nonetheless, as we are just around almost halfway into this race, well over a third of the way in this race, and of course we've had our caution period, so that has made the pit strategy a little bit weirder and a little bit different. Some drivers opted to pit on the lap 20 or so caution. You know what that would mean? You can go another 60 laps on a tank of fuel, give or take. Maybe they'll do that.
But Pat Harvey's on pit road. The moment Pat Harvey got passed, he went ahead and pitted, and he is now down pit road. That SGE Pioneer car is down on pit road, and 65, that's only 130. That's a long run to go here, but he is down pit road.
Be able to. Yeah, that's well.
So that's going to put Trent Dinkel well in the lead here, because James O'Brien was about 4 seconds back.
And Chris Hudson heading into the pits.
Teammates.
So maybe the thought process here is if you came in on lap 20, I'll be honest, I don't know what the thought process is right here. I can't quite tell what pace we're on for. I think 40 minutes have elapsed. We're close, but we're still, as you see that bashed-in front hood at the grill opening for the 77 of Joshua Daniels, running 10th at the moment. Trent Dinkle into the pits.
So it appears that we're talking about making this a two-stop race right now. But it appears though no one wants to try to stretch it. And obviously right now some of these drivers probably think their tires are just worn out and they want new ones. But here's Trent Dinkle now. So this will hand the lead off, pardon me, for a moment to James O'Brien.
Well, my concern is that this is around a 40 or so lap stint. I guess they're thinking we're going to split it up into thirds instead of half. So exactly what you're saying with a two-stop strategy here, where they'll go, 42 or so laps on each stint from here on out. You can make that work. So I guess that's the preferred strategy. 2 pit cycles, and that just leads to more opportunities for chaos as well, Derek.
It does. James O'Brien now down pit road as well. You see him falling down the scoring pylon. My concern is different. My concern is what happened last week. This was a pretty calm and clean race last week, and then about 5-6 laps after we started pitting, a yellow came out, and it trapped some people a lap down and wave arounds, and that could have major implications in a format such as we have of the Championship 4. So right now, if you're Trent Dinkle, James O'Brien, you're just holding your breath, hoping the pit cycle finishes before something bad happens.
Well, as you see, Tristan Callahan with the good old-fashioned Dale Earnhardt Jr. look. You remember that 88 machine that got pretty famous? There was a die-cast that Lionel made where it had no, front bumper, and you could see the radiator and everything on the inside, and it had tape for the 88 number. So that's basically what Tristan Callahan is doing right now, just getting out of the way and running some laps. He'll go multiple laps down as this race continues going.
It's worth mentioning, of course, just for those maybe tuning in a little late, the damage on that car relates to the fact that Joshua Daniels has a hurt car and is kind of struggling through this race right now. Daniels in P6 due to the pit cycles, but Callahan and others had contact on the front straight a little bit ago, and that hurt Joshua Daniels' Championship 4 chances.
Well, I do wonder if any of these drivers who have stayed out, the Tommy Brandons of this race, the Tom Macy's, even the Joshua Daniels, stay out until they run out of fuel, which should be around 13 laps from now, if not a little bit less or a little bit more. If that's the case, then, and a caution did come out, that would flip the script, and then Daniels would, considering all the damage he might still have, be able to get that fixed and still be on the lead lap. Man, that's not a bad strategy. It's not a bad play to kind of go here as Jose Acosta comes down pit road, and I think he got in easily, but that's a very Jose Acosta-like move. Did he not do that last week, or was that Abner Acosta?
That was Abner Acosta last week. We did last week, yeah. And I do want to say, I think pit entry is one of those skills in iRacing that we don't practice enough. And I say we, I think
agreed.
As the community as a whole, it doesn't get talked about. You can gain, this probably is less prevalent in NASCAR compared to some of the other PRL leagues like the open wheels. But you can gain and lose a lot of spots on pit road based upon your entry and how good you are at it. And that move right there by Jose, where you lock the tires up, that means he's waiting until the last possible second to slow that car down and still be under speed.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. I think that, pit entry is so important, and not everyone, I think, cares to practice it. They just kind of go at it thinking that they can just learn on the fly.
I think a lot of it is sort of the mentality of like, LOL, we pit under caution, what does it matter? And then when a green flag pit stop happens, you kind of feel, vulnerable in that moment.
Just reminds me of Daniel Ricciardo, what he says about drivers that are vulnerable on track. You remember what I said.
Of course.
Say it.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
Daniel Ricciardo, I like him vulnerable. One of the wildest quotes that he said about other drivers on track. Well, when they do give up some momentum on track, Ricciardo, the Honey Badger, likes to go after him, and I would say Trent Dinkel is that way as well. He can smell blood in the water, and when he does, he shows no mercy when he's got some extra speed, but right now he's put himself back onto this lead lap. Everyone else who pitted earlier, except for Pat Harvey and now Luke Christian, still one lap down. So Beasall Jr., O'Brien, Hudson, they should all be unlapping themselves very soon. As Maverick Davis, you see, is with Richard Pruitt. Pruitt, of course, trying to get his laps back, but I think he's getting his 1 lap back. He was 2 laps down, was he not? Or that was Abner Acosta.
Yeah. So the one story that I think is worth mentioning here, by the way, as this pit cycle rolls on and Maverick Davis now leads lap after lap of this race, it is lap by lap less that Trent Dinkel can lead. So looking at that Season 4 title. But now we're back to James O'Brien here. He's got Chris Hudson right behind him. And there is Joshua Daniels. But now we're back to O'Brien. And yeah, great moments here of racing. Lots of strategy, lots of thoughts. Now there's your other Championship 4 driver. Lots going on here. That's this car slow. That's Mike Witts. Is that... He's already been down pit road. I don't know if that's scheduled or not. But
might have been a penalty.
Slow.
Could have been a penalty that he is dealing with. So Witt has a meatball flag, meaning that he has suffered a huge amount of damage. However, I, like you, don't exactly know where that was from.
Yeah, he's had a rough night. He's had a rough night of being in towards the back of the field and having the car loose and through the grass, and some of it's not being, I think, relevant to the fights. We've not exactly seen some of it, but yeah, I think he hit a wall in turn 4 a little bit ago. But right now, speaking of hitting a wall, James O'Brien right behind Robert Beasall needs to find a way to get around him here, because James O'Brien is really at the tail end of the lead lap here. So if a caution comes out, he would be okay.
Would be absolutely okay, as Jose Acosta finds himself 1 lap down. The first one 1 lap down. James O'Brien fighting with a lot of drivers at this point. There's a ton from 6th on to 10th within that 2-second range of each other. Even closer is 7th to 10th. Look at this. Good fight. We got a good fight as we're well past the halfway point here in this race. Still on track to easily make it in 150 laps without having to worry about that 1 hour, 30-minute limit. I feel like if you're Davis or Vincent, I mean, at this point, I don't know if
you're committed.
The right move. You're committed, but you're so committed to the bit that you're potentially hurting your chances of recovering if the bit doesn't work.
Well, that's gonna be the question, right? With how many more laps are staying out, it's just sort of this question of like, how newer will their tires be when they do pit? How much of this time can they make up that they're losing right now? But they're doing a great job at holding on to it. And we're still watching James O'Brien here. Is that Luke Christian in front of him? I believe it is.
Yeah, that's Luke Christian in the 21 machine down the inside on that darker slab of asphalt here at Chicagoland. A bit tight for Christian. That leaves him a little bit open for an attack from O'Brien on the outside, who holds the momentum as a small edge into turn 1. Lap 83 makes the move look pretty easy for the Championship 4 competitor.
And you know, Lou told me he felt a lot of pressure tonight because he really has a goal of winning 1 race per season and has not yet done so in Season 4. So he told me he felt some pressure to get it done tonight and get a race win. And right now, that car does not look to be in race winning form.
Yeah, and I feel like, you know, as Vincent, by the way, goes into the pits, leaving only Maverick Davis to try this strategy of making it a one-stop affair, which I'll be quite honest. I hope he commits to this bit the entire way. Vincent has gone around 60 laps on this set of tires and this tank of fuel. Davis, if he can go another maximum 5 laps, I mean, if he goes in at lap 90, he's more than good, but you know, anywhere from now until lap 90, I would, yeah, there we go. Davis goes into the pits, so he'll have to go 65 laps on a full tank of fuel, which is going to be fairly difficult, but doable at Chicagoland.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. That's not too far off of what we've done here. So it's not exact, but we'll wait and see here. So now a bunch of drivers will begin to unlap themselves and put themselves in conditions to be back in the lead lap. You see all the cars come around here. Joshua Daniels down pit road, by the way. That is unexpected. I guess not. Maybe he stayed out since the... I had it written down he pitted already. I think I wrote down the wrong car.
Well, Joshua Daniels, who did suffer damage, remember, in the second wreck of this race. If this is the first time for him coming down pit road, then it will have been a long time coming. He is certainly struggling now to make up the necessary positions to be in that championship 4 contention. Really, at this point, it's just second and third in this race who have a chance to win the championship, but Dinkel, who is just 2/10 behind Pat Harvey, right in front of your faces, in front of your eyes, is about to go to battle with each other. I feel like Dinkel, I mean, Harvey's doing what he can, and that came with, you know, going in first to the pits, but I don't know. I feel like Dinkel is just on a different level right now.
Kind of feels like we just rewound the race like 30 laps does. Didn't we just see this? Like, didn't we just see this like 30 laps ago? This the same exact moment. You know, Dinkel going high, Harvey going low. Right before the pit cycles began, this is exactly what we saw. And Dinkel got around him the first time. And Pat Harvey is not going to be the kind of guy to, you know, hurt Dinkel's race, but he's still going to race for it. But I think right here into this corner, Dinkel will take the lead.
Both of them side by side, but only for moments, because Dinkel, like you call Derek, leader of this race. Some development has come from Mike Witt in the 88 camp. Witt has retired from this race, so in another 9 or 10 laps, Abner Acosta, if he is still running at the pace he is running at, should pass Witt and get into 17th place. He gets into 17th. And then the only way that Dinkel wins this title is by winning the race. So, I mean, it's truly a, you know, walk-off for the ages that Dinkel could have here. It would be 2 championships in one full swoop, in one moment, one race. I mean, 2 wins in this season, but 17 wins over the course of the year. There are 12 wins, excuse me. He is unbelievable as we catch a replay here of the Chris Vincent led machine. Take a look at what happened here. There's this, yeah, Vincent in that actually number 1 scored car, but he's entering pit road right here. And yeah, unbalanced into the wall, left side, enters unsafely. That's a black flag.
And you can kind of see it coming with how he was trying to straddle that line. You can kind of see that coming. That was probably where we were headed, was him having a hard time on that pit road entry here.
Well, Harvey running in second for his SGE Pioneer Toyota Camry is continuing his run up in the top 2 positions. Harvey's led a solid amount of laps in this race. I think he's led the most in this one, which would also give him the, you know, the extra bonus point for most laps led. It will matter in the grand scheme of things for Season 4. Here's the other thing that kind of plays into the Season 4 standings is that you cannot drop this race. It cannot be your drop race. At the end of every season, the season finale is undroppable, which has led to this drama because if you could drop this race, Acosta would certainly so far.
Yeah, definitely would, but that's not the case here. So right now, Pat Harvey is now under attack by another Championship 4 driver and James O'Brien. But now we're going to move back to Jose Acosta here. He's now going to be trying to get around a car as well here. And might run it high, but now it's James O'Brien, who I believe. Is that O'Brien? I can't tell.
Jose Acosta into the wall, but yep, that was James O'Brien there for you, Derek.
Yeah, so right there, Pat Harvey's under attack, and Jose Acosta's trying to do a great job here. You know, the one thing about this day that's really struck me a little bit, Dylan, we've not talked about the track itself too much because there's been so many implications on the titles. There's not that many drivers willing to use that flat part of the track on the front straight. It can be faster if you can get a run down there, but boy, can it be slick.
Absolutely, it can, but you know, if you do get a run down there, sometimes you get tight on corner exits, especially as the run goes on as well with these tires. Which, by the way, now that I'm thinking about it, we're only around 10-ish laps away from the next pit cycle for those drivers that are going on a 2-stop strategy here. Do you think Maverick Davis has a shot?
I do, actually, because it's all going to be about what time gain and loss on these tire strategies. With one stop, I mean, avoiding that whole pit delta, if he can, that's a great opportunity. And listen, when you're, as you said earlier, for drivers who are out here who are not in the championship fight, why not do something different? Why not be bold? Why not swing for the fences or go all in, or whatever other analogy you can use in this moment? I actually do think Maverick Davis has a chance here, because one less pit stop means one less moment for errors, one less, you know, black flag opportunity, one less whatever. I'm not sure he has it locked up, but I think Maverick Davis has the opportunity to lock this up.
Yeah, Davis, he obviously is on the freshest tires right now, pitting around 10 laps ago compared to everybody else's, you know, 30-plus lap-old tires. So he's definitely got the speed as Pruitt and Jose Acosta race, but it's not much of a race. It's more of a track meet with one person who is obviously a pro, and then the other competitor is obviously me. That's what it looks like right there, as Pruitt is hitting the wall on the outside of turn 4. Nonetheless, James O'Brien is right in behind Jose Acosta, and that is for position in this race. O'Brien is way off from his championship competitor and teammate Trent Dinkle in this one, in terms of seconds off the lead, 8.5, just under it at this point. Nonetheless, going back to the Maverick Davis conversation, my only concern for Maverick is if he can make a 65-lap stint work on a full tank of fuel. Theoretically, that is the upper limit of what you can do, but how much will he have to, you know, run at 80%, 70% of full throttle to make that happen?
Well, the good news is he comes into the stint knowing that, right? And the way to fuel save in auto racing, especially on the oval side, is to know in advance. The mistake a lot of people make in fuel saving is you go, oh man, it's 10 to go and I need to save a lap, or it's 10 to go and I need to save half a lap. No, at that point you're way gone as far as fuel saving goes. If you start a 65-lap stint knowing you need to save fuel, it is much easier to save it than it is to find that out with 5 to go.
Yeah, for sure. As O'Brien goes under the lapped car of Chad Kibbe, that 23 car, 1 lap down. It is nice that we're getting a long green flag run here, though. I do like seeing strategy play out, and I hope I've not jinxed the rest of this race. But, by the way, Acosta officially made that move on Mike Witt 2 laps ago. So Acosta currently scored in 17th place. At some point, you know, he's going to go as many positions up the leaderboard as he can possibly go, which will make the story in the situation a little bit easier for us to say about who can win the title and how they can win the title. At this moment, Dinkle's champion, no question.
Yeah, for this moment, that is true. By the way, worth mentioning, thanks to Ty Stover in the YouTube chat, he says the winner of the 2023 Championship 4 will also receive a black and gray camo duffel bag from Private Label. So there is a little bit of loot on the line for winning the championship 4.
Private Label Team Hype has 3 drivers of the 4 here, so it's kind of like that meme of awarding the medal to yourself, but in this case, it's a duffel bag. I do like it, though. That's a pretty awesome thing to do for Private Label. Of course, a lot of partnerships with that team, as Luke Christian's in the pits right now, and I wonder if this is a strategy call, because Christian was the first one to come in last time, was he not? Or
it was one of the first, if not the first. Yeah, so
right.
This will probably begin that cycle that you talked about beginning, where we're still going to see people like Dinkle, Harvey, Chris Hudson, and others start to come down pit road here and get ready for their final stop.
Well, this is where, I mean, you make the money. And we always say in the NASCAR garage that, and outside of it, it's said on broadcast, everyone knows the final stops of a race or a season is the money stop. You need to get that right. Here in iRacing, of course, it's not people, it's not real people making the adjustments on pit road, changing the actual tires on the car. But what is so important is making sure you get down pit road safely, go through it under maximum speed, as Pat Harvey will enter pit road from second place, and exit safely, get back onto the track, merge after the blue line at the exit of turn 2. It's so important to get that right. If you don't, that could be race over.
And I'm not sure he's making any money, quote unquote. However, Trent Dinkle has an expert with him tonight. Sitting up in his crew box and his spotter stand tonight in iRacing itself is Richard Regan Jr., PRL veteran. So if I wanted to have someone in my ears keeping me calm tonight and walking me through the race strategy, there's very few people I could think of, or if any, that would be better than Richard Regan Jr.
Trent Dinkle, who has worn that shirt for 80 days and nights of the year and has never washed it. He calls it his lucky shirt. I'm lying. That is a complete fabrication there. See how easy that was? You can call me Carissa Thompson with the way I'm making up these sideline reports here. You see that?
I did. Here comes Dinkle, and James O'Brien went ahead of him, by the way. You see both those in your scoring pylon on the left. So for hopefully the last time tonight and the last time this season, Dinkle, is down pit road.
Yeah, Dinkle is down pit road, and Jose Acosta now obtains the lead. I mean, you know, I know Jose struggled getting into the pits, and Chris Vincent, who was also on that same strategy that Maverick Davis was on and was running similar lap times. Vincent is so far down the order because he had issues getting into his pit box. So obviously that helps make Maverick Davis the lead runner of the alternate strategy. Only Jose Acosta is left to go into the pits before Maverick Davis stays out. So here's the situation. Once this pit cycle happens, right now it's going to be the last pit cycle that we'll see of the race. Maverick Davis and Chris Vincent are going to go the rest of the way, or at least try to go the rest of the way on this set of tires, on that tank of fuel. Will they make it? I think it's going to be close. I think Davis can do it, but he's going to have to hold a pretty sizable margin. Harvey comes out of the pits, sets the fastest lap, a 35.9, almost a 36 flat. And Davis is going to have to hold off that kind of speed, 16-second gap for the next 39 laps. Can he do it?
That'll be the question, right? That will definitely be the question. That because the gaps on the left side of your screen will decrease once Jose Acosta comes down pit road. And then we see the actual intervals between Maverick Davis and the rest of the field here. But I would find it very fascinating to think that how quick Harvey unlapped himself compared to the last time. That did stick out to me a little bit as a moment of clarity, if you will. But obviously, as you said, Maverick Davis is committed to this strategy. Now you're sort of there. You just have to run it out and see what happens.
Maverick Davis has never won a race in PRL competition. He's never gotten himself a pole, but he's always been involved, whether it's, you know, making some aggressive moves, aggressive strategy calls, to put himself in a position to maybe benefit and win a race. But in this situation, Davis is kind of trying to make his own luck happen. You know, everyone was on that same strategy where mostly everybody came down into the pits to make it a 2-stop, 120 or so lap run to the finish, while Maverick Davis is now trying something different. I mean, I like the call. There's nothing left in this season except maybe a couple points here, a couple points there. I don't think anyone's going to care about second on back in the last race, or even when the potential to have your first win is there. I think he's going to go for it all. He obtains the lead, and Tommy Brandon still has to pit in second, but when he does, has Brandon come into the pits, or is Brandon on that strategy too, is my question, actually.
We'll have to take a look and see, but the one piece of good news for Maverick Davis, actually, in a weird way, is look how close Pat Harvey and Trent Dinkle are. If they want to begin racing each other for that spot of third and fourth, that will probably slow both of them up and let Maverick Davis get ahead here. So there you see Pat Harvey in the front of your screen. Look at them now are beginning to use that apron, by the way. Saw Pat Harvey down there in the front of that camera shot. But we'll wait and see what happens here. Now we're going to ride on board. I think this is, hold on, that's Chris Vincent on the outside slow. This is Trent Dinkle. By the way, we talk about 1 second of a gap sometimes. Look how long 1 second is here. That's Pat Harvey up there in that green car in the front of his windshield. Look how far away that feels, although that's only like 1 to 2 seconds of distance.
Well, multiply that by 11.5 and you get the distance between Maverick Davis and Pat Harvey. That's a really interesting point, though, that you bring up about that 1 second distance. We so often talk about 1.5 seconds, a tenth off. That is the physical look at what that difference truly is. Pretty cool perspective, and appreciate you bringing that up, Derek. That doesn't get talked about enough.
Well, I feel like at this moment, all the cards have been put on the table. You know, everyone has shown what they have. Now it's just a matter of kind of waiting to see what happens here. And Maverick Davis sort of holding his breath. I think the way we'll know about Maverick Davis in a bit, we'll come back to his card a little bit. If he begins sitting behind cars and drafting, that should be a hint to us that he thinks he does not have the gas to make it all the laps. So look at that. I think if he was concerned about the gas, he would get up there behind Besaw and use that draft to save some gas. But so right now, he wasn't doing that.
Another update is that Richard Pruitt has retired from this race. Abner Acosta 5 laps away from moving into 16th position. Once that happens, once Abner Acosta moves into 16th, then things get a little bit more dicey and a little bit more concerning for Trent Dinkle to maybe walk away with the Season 4 championship. Just, you know, nerves for sure. If he finishes 16th, he gains 27 points from this race. Abner Acosta needs to keep a 19-point difference, a gap intact. He wins the tiebreaker with Trent Dinkle. But in that case, Trent would need 47 points from this one. He'd get that still with the win. It's just a little bit more concerning, you know?
It is more concerning. Yep, we're now watching here along the 3 car. Now going to try to pass by Chad Kibbe. Kibbe's had a lot of problems tonight as far as riding up to the top of the track, and seems to have the car under control for now. Keep an eye on that if anything comes there. See him going by your screen there. You know, at this moment, Dylan, the great equalizer of this race for the leaders would be if a yellow comes out. Because I think even though Maverick Davis would want to pit and put tires on, if we get 5, maybe 10 more laps in, so will Harvey, so will Dinkle, so will O'Brien and the rest of them. That yellow flag would not be the ultimate detractor to Maverick Davis, I don't think, in this scenario.
You know, that is an interesting moment. Hey, we're talking about fastest lap in our booth chat, but now there's a new fastest lap from Jose Acosta, who went 17 thousandths or 16 thousandths quicker than Pat Harvey did 13 laps ago. So that is still an extra bonus point that is out for the taking. You get on top of your 42 base points for the win. You get your bonus points for the win and the bonus point per lap led. Minimum, you're going to have 48 points. Most laps led, I think, is out of question for Trent Dinkle. At this moment, I don't think he's got a chance to do it. But fastest lap, I also think it's out of the picture now for him too, unless there is a caution that he comes down to the pits for. In that case, Abner Acosta, if he moves into 15th, I think that's all Abner needs. So
yeah, short of that F1 style, pit with 4 to go and throwing out a hot lap kind of style, I agree with you that Dinkle's chances of a fastest lap seem to be dwindling here. But here he is now trying to run down Pat Harvey. Man, it's just like, I've seen this movie. We're now at the trilogy.
3 times.
Yeah, we're at the trilogy. Like, we're Back to the Future or Lord of the Rings. There's other trilogies. Cars.
Cars and the Godfather.
I refuse to believe that Godfather 2 and 3 exist. I'm just going to say that right now. Send all your hate to at. Send all of your hate to at. I don't like 2 or 3. No, they're both awful movies.
Derek, every opinion you have on the movie from this point is absolutely irrelevant. Because Part two. Hold on. I'm going off here. Part 2. I'm going off, and then we're moving subjects. Part 2 is renowned as maybe the better of the first 2. That's unbelievable here.
Okay, let's go basic here. We both agree 3 is awful.
All right. I mean, it's definitely not great, for sure.
Okay.
But how about this?
That's just a semantic.
That is a semantic, for sure. Trent Dinkle is hoping that he can finally complete his trilogy of passes on Pat Harvey, though, and get moving in this one. Did Maverick Davis make a mistake? Because that gap came down so quickly.
It depends how you define a mistake, right? Oh, hold on. It depends how you define the word mistake, though, right? Because where was Maverick Davis before this strategy began versus where he will finish? If the ultimate determinant of a mistake is will he win the race, we'll see. Maybe it wasn't a mistake. If he comes out finishing top 3 in this race when he wasn't there when this strategy began, no, it's not a mistake.
Well, I was more asking if he made a mistake right now in his running of this race, or if it's just the tires coming back to him in a big way. It's almost like it's fallen off a cliff. Yeah, it's like he's fallen off a cliff here. It's 2.5 seconds the difference between Davis and these two fighting still side by side at this point.
Mistake.
Oh, yes?
These two fighting side by side is not helping them catch Maverick Davis.
No, they're still catching him. They just got 8/10 on him that last lap.
No, I agree, but I'm just saying, catch him first and then race. Priorities in life. So let's go back to trilogies. Can we at least agree that Toy Story 2 is the worst Toy Story of the 3? I know there's more Toy Stories than 3. I realize that. But I'm saying,
I know that's a hot take. I don't necessarily disagree with it, though.
Cars 2
I don't want to talk.
Is the worst of the trilogy.
That's not even irrational. That's completely rational to say.
Okay. Just trying to figure out where your hot takes end here and where we can agree on something.
I got hot takes. You got hot takes.
I know.
We all have the takes. Maverick Davis about to be passed for the lead of this race. His tires are hot, for sure. They are worn. They are just screaming, gasping for breath at this point. New leader, Trent Dinkle, but Pat Harvey trying to get back into first place. Abner Acosta is about to get to that point where he can't go anywhere higher than 16th. If that is the case, if he cannot go higher than 16th, Abner Acosta needs Dinkle to finish second or worse. He is needing Pat Harvey to do something about Dinkle.
Well, think about it this way. Abner Acosta is 22 laps down according to timing and scoring. We are at less than 20 to go. So I think short of Tristan Callahan like stopping right now, because he's 3 laps down, Abner Acosta is locked into place. He is where he is in P16. I don't see a way. There's no overtime in PRL. So there's no way Abner Acosta makes up any more spots.
I mean, the only way he could is if Callahan wrecked out and had to get towed back
like right
now. 100%. That's the only way that would happen. Your bottom 3 in this race are all out of the running. Harvey and Dinkel still fighting. I mean, right now, James O'Brien is just begging these two to wreck each other out, because then he would be in the catbird seat to win the championship if Dinkel got into a wreck. What a night it's been for championship competitors of all sorts, with Acosta early on, an incident, an accident, an escape from himself, putting him in this position. Joshua Daniels way back in this field, running 10th. He had his own problems and some damage he's trying to recover from. James O'Brien just hasn't had the exact speed that Dinkel's had, but he still had very consistent top 5 runs and times every lap going for him. Big run here, but a lift just before corner exit from Pat Harvey. These two running so well. Great lap times, very similar to each other. A 31.336, the last one for Harvey, who is liking that inside line, but he thought he would be alongside Dinkel, so he didn't go all the way up to the wall. That's going to compromise his, I was going to say straight line speed, but you're always turning left at Chicagoland.
You really are. Yeah, that's a unique part of the track that I think you hinted at in the very beginning, and it's very prevalent in the back straight. If we stay on this camera here, when we hit the back straight, it's not like most places where you can kind of relax. If you're not constantly turning slightly to the left on the back straight, you will get sucked into that wall. Watch this wall here. It's going to constantly kind of curve into you. You have to be turning left at all times. I agree here. You know, I was trying to think of my memory, and maybe you remember, this is the best we've seen Pat Harvey run all season, it feels like.
Well, I mean, yeah, for sure. Harvey has had some flashes of brilliance, and he was in the conversation for this championship for as well. But this is an outstanding run for Harvey, and quite impressive, you know, even if he doesn't get the win here. I'm really enjoying watching this battle, and I do like the colors of that car. You know, it kind of reminds me of the city I've adopted as my home, Charlotte, North Carolina. The Charlotte Hornets, which are not the best representation for a legitimate sports team, but I do like those colors of purple and teal, and that's what they got going for them, and so does Pat Harvey.
Yeah, it's an interesting color choice, we'll say that, but looking back in a moment here, this is the battle with Joshua Daniels and Thomas Amassi here. This is back for P10. It's for, yeah, P10 and P11. So once again, as you know, you predicted earlier, with this race going green for a while now, Joshua Daniels is feeling all the effects of that damage from that wreck earlier. And without a couple yellows to kind of even the playing field, I don't see a way that Joshua Daniels is relevant as far as that Championship 4 title contention is concerned. But Dinkel is relevant, and with about 12 laps to go, is looking to possibly wrap up 2 titles at once, calling Mr. Two-Time.
Two-time! Trent Dinkel, in terms of the title he would clinch right now, but if we're talking about the overall championships, that the driver, the number 9 machine for private label Team Hype has, well, he would tie Richard Regan Jr. For the second, I guess you could say third most all time, with 4. Regan Jr. has 4, Dinkel has 3. Bradley Holly and James O'Brien each have 5. We talk about overall PRL titles, there's no one better than Bradley Holly. Because 5 PRL Cup Series, 14 Wednesday night oval racing, and 2 MX5 GR86 titles for 21 total. No one comes close. Abner Acosta does, have 7, and that's second, tied with Richard Regan Jr. So Dinkel, his only titles in PRL competition is through his 3 with PRL Cup. If he wins this 4th one, he'll move into a tie with Regan Jr. again with 4, or I should say, not Regan Jr. 4 for the total would be Vincent Trepanier, who won 4 in the GT competition. Love how we track all this with PRL. Great work from statisticians. I know Joseph Tebben has done a lot of that himself, as well as Zach Hunter and the rest of the group.
This camera shot confuses me. I'm all for, glasses, safety glasses, prescription glasses, but, like, they're not doing him any good. He knows that, right? Like, you got to put him all over the face. This is Pat Harvey, of course, running P2, and man, look at that. Comfortable enough to take a hand off the wheel and do a little scratch in the nose on the back straight here. See, he's locked in here in that moment. Less than 10 to go now before Trent Dinkel possibly claims both the year-long title and the Season 4 title. By the way, if you want us to talk about you next season, and if you think, hey, I could race these guys, well, guess what? You can, because registration for 2024 Season 1 Precision Racing League is now live. Just head over to the website, and you can sign yourself up and join in on all the fun. Here's Tommy Brandon. That is a vastly chaotic color.
Yeah.
Is that a CPU case in the background?
I don't know, but I don't like this angle either.
Also, look, look at that. He's watching the stream. I can see YouTube chat over there on that monitor.
Oh, he can. I hope he's hearing us as well.
Both hands on the wheel, Tommy. Don't wave, please.
Tommy running in a top 10 spot right now.
Oh, that might
also,
be a switch chat. That's true.
Yes. Oh, Tommy Brandon, who coming into this race, I mean, he hasn't had the most races run. Currently 25th in the standings. He's had not much to write home about this season. 0 top 10s, but he's currently running 9th, and it looks like if this goes the way it's going, he will get 9th place. Just a few laps left. Abner Acosta is 16th. There is no way that's going to be changing. Acosta with a 16th place would get 27 points, meaning that Trent Dinkel needs 47 points to get the title in Season 4. The only way that Dinkel gets that is with a win. That gets you 48 when all bonus points are said and done. But to add on to that, how about another bonus point for most laps led? Because that's what Trent Dinkel currently has. He unofficially would win Season 4's title by 2 points over Abner Acosta. If this is how it remains over the next few laps, he'd also become the overall PRL Cup Series champion for 2023 by virtue of the playoffs. I don't think anyone would say that would be undeserved for the soon-to-be, if it goes this way, 4-time PRL champion.
No, it's very deserved, and seeing a great battle here between Maverick Davis and Jose Acosta for P3 that's happening on track here. Jose is trying everything he can to get around Maverick Davis. Maverick is doing an incredible job at racing this car for how old those tires must be. By the way, Dylan, we are past that point where if a caution comes out, the race is over. We're only 3 to go here. So if a caution comes out, Dinkel is definitely the winner.
Well, it's less of a fight, more of a Acosta just needs to set his lap in, turn out times correctly, and he should easily pass Davis here. He gets to the inside. That was pretty close between front bumper, back bumper. Davis was aggressive on the blocks there, but down into turn 1 with, a slide up. Jose Acosta got very tight, and good defense from Maverick Davis, surprising me and turning heads everywhere else. Just 2 laps to go, under 2 laps to go for this battle. But The final lap of the race has started for Trent Dinkel as Harvey watches 5 seconds back in the mirror. One last going to one for Davis, and Acosta, almost a huge incident as he tries to pinch Davis down low. We see the fight on the main screen, but on the bottom right, Dinkel turns out of turn 4. He is champion in 2023 and unofficially season 4. What a way to capitalize and bookend your year for Trent Dinkel.
That's a great race. What a great race for Dinkel. Just, as he said, another day of just chilling and hanging out. But let's watch the battle here for P3 if we can find it here. It's going to be, I think, Acosta is going to come around and win it.
Davis, I think, wrecked at the end because James O'Brien made it past the 15. Davis out of this race, but finishes in 5th, had 3rd, had a podium spot, but that's not to be, as he and Acosta, I think, made some contact. We'll hope to get a replay.
He ran out of gas.
It might have been him running out of fuel, because that was my concern from the beginning.
Yeah,
so yeah, Davis ran out of fuel for sure. Trent Dinkel, burn it down, son. You've won it all in 2023. 4-time PRL champion and your 2023 overall PRL Cup Series winner. This is a boring burnout, though. I'm going to tell him I said that. Let's go to the race results as well.
I think that's a good burnout. All right, look at that.
I saw barely any smoke. This is boring. I am not gatekeeping the burnout. Anyway, Trent Dinkel wins the race, Season 4's title, and the playoff crown. Pat Harvey finishes just under 6 seconds in behind in second. What a run for the driver of the 67 machine. Jose Acosta rounds out the podium. We'll talk to all those three in just a few moments. James O'Brien finishes in 4th with Maverick Davis and Chris Hudson rounding out your top 6. In 7th place is Luke Christian, and he's the last one to finish on the lead lap. Robert Bisol Jr. Tommy Brandon gets his first top 10, and then Jose Medina finishes in 10th. We continue moving down the board with Tama Macy in 11th. Chad Kibbe, the first one 2 laps down with Chris Vincent and Joshua Daniels. Oh man, the third of 4 playoff contenders in this race. But hey, Daniels is technically above Abner Acosta in the overall playoff standings, I guess you could say. So that's a win. Tristan Callahan finishes in 15th. Abner Acosta 16th, 36 laps down. What a boring and upsetting race for him. It didn't go his way from the very beginning. Richard Pruitt, Mike Witt, Rodrigo Loga all retired from this race early on, and Jose Acosta set the fastest lap on lap 1-2-0. Well, I think we should bring in the champion. What do you think, Derek?
I think you should go for it.
Trent Dinkel about to join us in the booth as we're right now watching a replay of Maverick Davis coasting to the line. But here is the man who's worn that shirt for, I think, 100 days. Never washed it. He said it was his lucky shirt. And it proved to be pretty lucky. That's all a fabrication. But it proved to be pretty lucky tonight, unofficially. And this is just with commentator math, which isn't accurate usually. But I believe you beat Abner by 2 points to the Season 4 title in addition to the Championship 4 playoff title. So just your thoughts.
I mean, I don't know. It definitely, I was nervous. I was nervous as heck just when that started. You know, not being able to know what everybody's running is tough, you know, and like, you start the race, and then for whatever reason, everybody was driving like crazy tonight, and it does suck that Abner and Josh got taken out. I don't know what happened with Abner, but I watched what happened to Josh, and it just was stuff that didn't need to happen, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, my plan was to take it slow and do my thing, and I mean, that first run, I watched Pat drive away from everybody, and then, I caught him and tracked him down, and I don't know if he made a adjustment in the pit stop that didn't work out very well or what, but he was not as fast afterwards, and I knew this setup was super good when the track rubbered in, so I was just waiting for that to happen, and it seemed like it played into our hands super amazing, obviously, so I am very happy with how this all turned out.
I feel like many people would say, and I would tend to agree with them, that if you look at the stats for the entire year as a whole, there's one driver, one person that stands out on top, and that's you. The number of wins, the top 5s, the top 10s, but that isn't something that is unexpected, and certainly it's something you expect of yourself. And do you feel like you left some on the table this year, which is a wild thing that you're probably going to say yes to?
Oh, no, I 1000% did, because when the season started, I was carrying caution points from the 2021 year, or 2022, whatever, and I was trying to get rid of them, and, we had switched to open, and things weren't working out very well, so those first 5 races of this year, I had like 13 points apiece, so, even if I ran 2 of those just to see where I finished, I probably would have won by a mile, but, it's all good. That it's kind of one half dozen the other, because last year I was super excited when I won the yearly points and didn't really care too much about the playoffs, and now I'm like kind of vice versa.
Well, at the same point, you're now a 4-time individual season PRL Cup Series champion. That moves you into a tie with Richard Regan Jr. For the Cup Series in the PRL, and puts you right behind Bradley Holly and your teammate James O'Brien. So I guess James is going to have to sweat a little bit looking towards next season, huh?
Yeah, I guess we'll see. And they said that we're staying open, so, I think I've definitely absolutely loved working with Team Conti and EPI. I did the little coaching session with Conti just to try and get an idea, and I did like my first 10 laps, and he was like, well, I don't know what to tell you because it looks pretty damn good. And then obviously I love racing with Team Hype. It's always fun, always a good time. And then these last couple races, Richard's been helping me out, just crew chief, and trying to keep my head screwed on straight, because I'm sure at the beginning of this race, if I didn't have somebody in my ear yelling at me to, take it slow, I would have been doing stupid stuff to try to get to the front. So, big thanks to everybody that helps, paid off.
Well, nonetheless, Trent Dinkle, it paid off for sure with, a walk-off for the ages here. Congratulations, man. You have any off-season plans? I know you're probably going to take all your winnings and your trophies on a tour to Broadway, and what you got?
There's some stuff going on in the setup world that I'm thankful to be a part of, so I'm going to be venturing in that these next start of the year. I'll still race officials, try and see what I can't squeak out for official iRacing points, and then it'd be nice to take a break, not have to race on Sundays. I'll miss it, and then depending on if our first unbroadcasted race is a points race or not, I may be getting like a month off here. So I really, it'll be a good time to just relax and not have to have anxiety attacks all day long wondering if you're going to win the championship.
No need for that right now. Trent Tinkle, you've officially won it by 3 points in season 4. So that's official.
Yes.
There you go. There you go.
I like
you
it.
Are season 4 champion and the playoff champion. Congratulations once again, man.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. Trent Dinkle, always a pleasure to talk to. Very confident, and he knows that when he's confident, that gives him the best chance to win a race. You want that as a team, as a driver, and he did it all. But Pat Harvey and Jose, or excuse me, it looks like, Jose Acosta is sitting for second and third, and I think Pat Harvey is joining you right now, Derek.
Well, Pat, what an amazing run tonight. You and I have been talking throughout the season, and I've been kind of watching you get better and better at this. And walk us through tonight. How did that feel to run those laps like that?
Well, it felt good. I think it was surprising. Since there's no official races this week, it was kind of like you didn't really know how you were going to stack up. And also, I just grabbed an old setup that wasn't even made for Chicago, and I could tell it was fast. Short run speed was super fast, and I couldn't decide. I wasn't really saving as much as I needed to, but I was trying to find a balance between like running away and hoping he couldn't catch up, and saving. But it was fun. I thought I had something there. Just after so many laps, burned them up. But that was a fun run.
Well, you definitely had something. You led multiple laps tonight. You really showed off well. And we're proud of you for doing that. We have to ask, though, it's the question for the stream. When you're racing, the goggles are off. When you're interviewing, the goggles are on. So we have to know, I guess if we can ask, what's the purpose of the goggles?
Well, so ideally they would be on when I'm racing. Protection. We're flying. These cars, what are we doing? 190? You got to be safe. But I have learned you can't. I'm not seeing too good with them on. So, I think it's for good luck maybe, and it's been working. I've had speed. It just hasn't worked out. But I'm sticking with the goggles. I feel fast. I think look good, feel good, play good. Goggles are on. They're staying.
All right. Last question. I guess it's a two-parter. One, how is baby Duncan? And two, does he have an iRacing account yet?
We're working on that. He's not good yet. He has a hard time with the pedals, but we're working on it. He's been practicing a little bit. He's doing good. He's sleeping right now. He's probably tired from practicing, earlier today, but he's doing great. Mom's doing great. Everything's good. Well, he's going to join the league as soon as his iRating is high enough, so he'll be here soon.
Awesome. Well, listen, great job tonight, and hopefully we'll talk to you next season.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Pat. All right, well, before we catch up with Jose Acosta in P3, I want to do this. Let's catch up with Abner Acosta. We're going to switch gears a little bit here on our producer, and I apologize for that. Abner, a couple questions. One, what happened at the start of the race? What happened with the car getting loose? Abner, are you out there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Okay, now we can.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I was muted. Sorry. So yeah, apparently I was lagging and my car just blinked and I warped into B-Saw and we kind of just hooked together and I just spun. So it sucks. It's I couldn't have drawn a worse race than this. But I mean, if it had to happen, I already knew the outcome by lap 20th, so it was sucks, but it happens.
Well, listen, the outcome wasn't partly as done as you thought. You're going to lose season 4 by 3 points. I know, obviously, the year-long title, but those 3 points, that was maybe one more caution or, who knows what. Well, listen, great job this season. We're proud of you, and I'm assuming we'll see you next season.
Yeah, I just want to point out, basically, that is true. It's Pat Harvey's fault for not winning. So
there you go. See?
Yeah. No, but you guys will probably most likely see me next season. Yes, I'll be here.
All right. Well, listen, great job tonight, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. See you guys. Have a good night.
All right. Let's go from one Acosta to the other, and this will wrap us up for tonight. I do believe now it's Jose Acosta. Jose, you finished third tonight. Walk me through, first off, that last 4 laps with Maverick Davis. What was that like?
Can you guys hear me?
Yep, we got you.
Okay, cool. Man, that was intense. Of course. I just didn't know how to pass him at the end. I think he ran out of gas on last lap, so that was good for me.
Had he not ran out of gas, were you confident you were going to pass him?
That last turn, I pinched him into turn one, so I think I had an advantage already there coming to turn three. So maybe I could, I could have hold my position, but who knows, man? I mean, what could have, what should have, I don't know, man. Anything could have happened.
Well, it looks like, from what I can tell, possibly finishing as high as P3 in the Season 4 points. So, a great run this season, and I'm assuming we'll see you back next season for the next run of the Cup cars.
Yeah, I think so. Probably coming in next year, and race with everybody here again. Hopefully, that's what I'm aiming for.
All right. Well, listen, great run tonight, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, I just want to give actually a quick thank you to my new sponsor, Torque Motorsport. They actually jumped in on board today. They located in Atlanta, so anybody want to check out, it's a simulator facility. It's really cool. And actually to you guys and to everybody in the league for having me. And my son here want to say goodbye to you all.
Bye.
And thank you, everybody.
There you go. Well, that's the greatest way to wrap it up. That's Jose Acosta, finished P3. And Dylan, how many twists and turns could there have possibly been on a 4-turn track? All of them.
Yeah, all of them for sure. That was quite the finale. The racing was not the most incredible, but I will say for sure it provided some drama with the early incidents, and I do love having a race at Chicagoland, no matter where it is in the season. But the first race of 2024 Season 1 happens in 2023 on December 17th at 8:30 p.m. Make sure you tune in to RaceSpotTV to watch that one coming at you live. But for myself and Derek Watson, everybody else at RaceSpotTV and the Precision Racing League, we wish you a pleasant good evening, good night, and good racing.